We know what we want the front line to take away,
Yeah.
but we also all know that actually getting the front line to internalize those messages and to consistently deliver on it, that may be another story. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
So are there any tips that you could give to those who might be watching the video to say, how do you accomplish that? And maybe there's the tips, and there's also here's what you should avoid, because I think we've all tried things that have worked and those that haven't worked. So any tips that you have for folks?
I think it's been mentioned already, but I think operationalizing it and tying the customer experience back to results is key. I mean, at the end of the day, we're a results-driven organization, and we've spent some time fighting against that and realized that it's futile to fight that. And to really understand that if we can tie our customer experience back to the results and show that the customer experience is actually a driver of results, they will see that connection and then start to make an impact on the customer experience as a way to drive the numbers. And then I think the other thing that we've tried really hard to do is to make it a part of everyday life. Again, if it's a part of training or it's a part of communication, or we have leaders that are talking about on a consistent basis, we're trying to think of anything and everything we can do to keep it front of mind for the front line, so that it isn't a program that happens once in a while, but rather it's something that just is constantly out there. It's a part of our organization.
Yeah, I would definitely echo that. I think that making the math work, following the almighty dollar is really important, and making sure that you know your audience, that your messages are hitting home when they're raising their hand and making their own commitments for what they're going to do in their agency or in their unit. I think the other thing is that you have to allow them, at least from our perspective, they are independent business owners, our agents are. And so we need to allow them some autonomy. They need to make their own decisions. What is it that they're going to push and pull? And I don't want them to do 10 things. I want them to choose one or two that right now. And once they've conquered those and they can operationalize those, so that they don't really have to think about how that customer experience is, it's just a way of doing healthy business, then we can tackle more. One more thing.
So Melissa, you have an interesting position. So
I do.
So you have been both on the client side, where you have been dealing with these issues firsthand, and you also recently joined MaritzCX, and now you're helping our customers to tackle these same issues.
Absolutely,
So what are the things, to build on what Katie and Tim have said, I mean, what are some of the things that you've seen and some of the interesting challenges that people have tried to solve, and some of the solutions that they've been coming up with?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things that I ran into when I was running a program was stale data. By the time I actually got something in front of those frontline employees, because I spent all my time making the executive report, getting that to them first, by the time I got something out to the frontline employees, it was so stale that maybe that frontline employee was no longer even with us. And we've already lost the customers that were engaging with that employee, and it's too late. So, one of my, mantras when I work with new clients is how to get that data to those frontline people really quickly, so that we have those coaching opportunities, we have those moments of kudos and recognition when a good job has been done, and finding kind of that way to start engaging people in the customer experience by saying, you recently provided this customer experience and it's recent and relevant and they remember, and we can grow from there. I love how you mentioned best practices. That was one of the big things I did. I would find my top performers and my not so top performers and match them up and say, okay, your scores are low, you're doing a really good job. What is different in your branch that might not be happening in this one? And letting those people use each other, but making that match and connection for them, because I've got the data, so I can find those moments, find those connections and make them.
I think that's really important, is to make sure that the mentors can be their peers.
Yes.
Because we can say it from a corporate perspective, but it really won't resonate like the but like their peers.
Yeah, they understand each other's challenges. You know, they might even see some of the same customers or at least similar experiences, and they can relate to each other in a different way than, you know, the CX team coming in and swooping down. I found that didn't, the stick didn't go so well.
Absolutely. The
Yeah.
carrot is much better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much frontline experience you have. When you take that role, now you're not the frontline anymore.
Right.
And so you immediately need to find that credibility again. And I think using those partners is a great way of doing that.
Yeah.
Using the frontline partners that will help get that message out there and will give a dose of reality to that message. I think that's
Yeah, the instant credibility that comes with that is priceless.
Yeah.
Because you could say it until you're blue in the face, but until it comes out of their mouths,
Yep.
Yep.
it won't matter. And you kind of have to figure out how many times your client or your customer, when I'm saying customer, your internal customer, needs to hear it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they need to hear it many more times than you could possibly imagine.
Yep.
But they may not believe it or implement it until they.
And not all employees
They
are the
get there.
same. Not, you know,
No.
you as a frontline person you're gonna need a different experience than I am in support, because we offer different customer experiences. You know, even though it's supposed to be consistent, when you're different people, at the end of the day.
Right.
You're all motivated by different things.
Exactly.
yeah.